So our lead this hour is from Pro Bouncy Ball. And if you enjoy Schadenfreude, if you enjoy taking some really great fun out of other people's misery, taking joy out of other people's misery, man, is this a good story. Man, is this a good story. So Big Apple Blues, the headline, Big Apple Blues on this one. And our lead from Gotham as the Pacers and Thunder played a barn burner in the NBA Finals, and Indiana winning that game. Things getting wacky for the team that the Pacers beat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, if you have not heard, perhaps not, the New York Knicks have now been denied permission to speak with Chicago Bulls head coach Billy Donovan about the head coaching job in Gotham. And if that sounds familiar, it should. We have learned now the Knickerbockers have been rejected by everyone. By everyone. In fact, the coaches include Jason Kidd, Chris Finch, Quinn Snyder in Atlanta, Billy Donovan, as we mentioned, Ime Udoka. They've all said we want no part in that. In fact, I even rejected the Knicks. They contacted me. They said, nah, my brother lives there. I don't want to live there. I'm good. So let us discuss the question. What have we learned about the New York Knicks with this episode playing out the last 48 hours that they have been turned down by everyone since they made the coaching change? What have we learned about the Knicks? So I've got Fun Zone, Bonfire, and Supply Chain Shortage. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some thin-cut pastrami, which is really the perfect way to eat pastrami. That thin-cut, nice sandwich. Couple slices of bread there. All right, so number one. I said number one. Yeah. What we have learned about the Knicks since the coaching change, that the move to fire Tom Thibodeau was a knee-jerk reaction, as we anticipated it was at the time, by James Dolan. This was owner rage, embarrassed by losing to the upstart Pacers. So he skipped the cooling off period, the Knickerbocker owner, and sent Tom Thibodeau to the coaching electric chair and said, "Begone, Tibbs, begone." Now, this was not supposed to happen. This was not part of the plan. How do we know that? In the big industrial complex of professional sports, the way it works is, and it also works like this in radio, when you get rid of someone, you already have the replacement ready to go. It's all semantics. You already have the person to replace the coach ready to go. It never works this way. It's not supposed to work this way. And now James Dolan, the owner of the New York Knickerbockers, finds himself in a fun zone called the Puzzling World. Now, this amusement park, come one, come all, fun for all ages. Only one ride, though. The ride is a maze. You're stuck in a maze. There is no exit, just some twists and turns and a whole lot of confusion. That is the Puzzling World, the fun zone of the New York Knickerbockers. How many coaching rejections does it take for the Knicks franchise to get the message that they are painfully out of touch and it's not a great job and people don't want to go there? Because if you are keeping score at home or at work or wherever you might be, they have now been told no by Jason Kidd of the Mavericks, Chris Finch in Minnesota, Quinn Snyder in Atlanta, Billy Donovan in Chicago, and Ime Udoka in Houston. That is the Big Five, a five-pack of denials, a five-piece nugget. 5 doors slammed shut. Thanks, but no thanks. Now, I did some Maller back-of-the-napkin math, and I believe I'm right on this. So let's do it out. We'll do the algebra. We'll play it out right now. So if you take away the Suns, the Grizzlies, and the Nuggets, who all just hired coaches, so why would they let their coach leave? So the Suns, the Grizzlies, and Nuggets just hired their coaches. You'd also take away the Pacers and Thunder because their coaches are in the NBA Finals. You then, of course, take the Knicks off because they're the team looking for the coach. So there's 30 teams originally in the NBA. So I just eliminated, by my math there, I eliminated the Suns, the Grizzlies, and the Nuggets. That's 3. The Pacers and Thunder, that's 5. And then I also eliminated the Knicks, so that's 6. So there's 24 other teams available, and the math is like 20%. 20% of the available coaches have rejected the Knickerbockers. And so the Knicks, it's like an old school telemarketing thing. The Knickerbockers are now so clueless, they are cold calling coaches. It's like, hello, Jason Kidd? Yeah, hey, Jason. Yeah, this is James Dolan, owner of the New York Knicks. How you doing today? Okay, good. How's the family? Yeah. Hey, if I could show you a way to coach the Knickerbockers at the Mecca, would you be interested in learning more about the Knicks coaching job? Click. Yeah, that's what it's like. The Knicks fancy themselves as a world-class destination, right? Premier franchise, big city, right? Most famous arena, world's most famous arena. However, 5 of the successful coaches, some of them even not that successful, have said no. And make no mistake, while the teams have denied it, and the Knicks will say, well, the teams didn't want the coaches to go. Knowing the way this works, if Jason Kidd's like, I don't want to coach the Mavericks, I want to coach the Knicks, the Mavericks will say, okay, we don't want a coach that doesn't want to be here, so we'll work something out with the Knicks. It's on the coach. If the coach does not want the job, that's fine. But if one of these guys, the 5, Ime Udoka, I don't know why he'd want the job, but he's in Houston. They got a young team that's on the come, as they say in gambling. And so he's like, hey, maybe I want to go to New York. I got, there's some actress I want to hook up with there, whatever. I don't know. So you say, okay, well, the Rockets will work out a trade. But he didn't want to do that. So here we are. No interest. And the franchise has been a factory of dysfunction for decades, and the Knicks walk around like they've got all this machismo and they've got all this pull, and yet they just bathe in dirty water. Those dirty water dogs, that's what they bathe in. Meanwhile, the team's rejecting them, and the Knicks, they must show up to these meetings with like a dunce cap on at this point, right? I mean, you just laughed out of the room every single time. Not one of these coaches wanted the number one media market in America. They all said, I'm good. Embarrassing, capitally embarrassing. And so you have James Dolan being rejected more than a college applicant, fresh out of college, who sent their resume around, they applied for jobs, and they misspelled their own name on the application, right? It's like, well, that person's probably not a person to hire. And now they're searching at the discount rack. They can hire some cheap upstart assistant coach you've never heard of. And the Knicks, if you're a championship contender, you don't normally hire a starter coach. And the available coaches, you have to go now to unemployed coaches. Michael Malone of the Nuggets, late of the Nuggets. Taylor Jenkins, he's out there. Frank Vogel, who's coached a bunch of teams. He's a vagabond coach. And so the Knicks are just like, well, we got to fake it till we make it at this point. Now, speaking of the Knicks and former Knicks coaches, page number 2 here, as we move on, former Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau taking a full-page ad out in the New York Times, the old gray lady, to thank the fans. So how does that one hit you? Tibbs taking out a full-page ad. How does that one hit you? So it hits me like a bonfire, a full-page ad. And then I was like, well, maybe I'm in like some kind of parallel dimension, and I'm gone back in time. I said, is it really 2025? No, it can't be 2025. Like, no, it's 1997. You wake up, you grab your cup of coffee, you flip through the newspaper. It's got to be the year 1997. It can't be 2025. And then I was like, well, no, it's 2025. You talk about having a beachside bonfire with crisp banknotes if you're Tom Thibodeau. Let's do some Maller math on this. So full-page ad, New York Times, at least $150,000. I don't think I'm wrong on that. At least $150,000. Probably more. I'm probably going low. And for what? A one-page ad with a photo to say thank you? A update. Hey, Tommy, Coach Tibbs, you could have just sent that out on social media and saved yourself $150,000. I know you're rich and James Dolan's going to pay you a bunch of money, but you could have recorded a 30-second video and posted it on Instagram. It's been great. Thanks. been fun, but I got to run. But no. Tibbs had that old school. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur. I'm an old head, as the kids say. And he wanted to make sure every one of those woke retirees in New York and across the country that read the New York Times, they saw his heartfelt farewell, right, while reading the stock market, and then they read the obits, see who died. Good luck. Good luck on that. But yeah, get the classy move, Coach Tibbs, way to go. And that's one of those things that should be completely gone, but is not. The full-page newspaper ad when a star player gets traded or a coach loses his job. And for some odd reason, it continues. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. But if you're actually honest, complete waste of money. Complete waste of money. Should have spent that money on overnight talk radio advertising. That would have been a better use of that money. All right, now, final point. So Adam Silver, the lizard person commissioner of the NBA, my opinion. So Adam Silver, royalty, he did an interview this week, did a bunch of interviews, but he said that ESPN has always been more hardcore basketball than TNT. Now, the implication that is a positive thing, like the way that I interpreted what Silver said was that, hey, that's a good thing. They're hardcore basketball. And TNT is no longer going to be in business with the NBA, but they were more a bunch of goofs. Do you agree or disagree with the premise of Adam Silver that it's actually a good thing to be more hardcore basketball as opposed to the coverage that TNT provided? So my thought on this, I wrote down one word here, and I wrote down the word, it starts with an M, capital M, malarkey. This is malarkey. ESPN's coverage blows. I can't watch the finals with the audio up 90% of the time because of Doris Burke. She's unlistenable. I can't watch the halftime because it's terrible. TNT wiped the floor with ESPN when it comes to basketball coverage. And the reason why is the very thing that Adam Silver referenced as a positive for them at ESPN as opposed to TNT. And the issue is this. I'll tell you why. There's a supply chain shortage of hardcore basketball fans. And Adam Silver is learning that as the NBA finals go on and fewer people are watching every one of these games. He's learning that the hardcore basketball fan, they might exist in corners of social media. Yeah, with all due respect, I think some of that's just bots and a lot of fake accounts. There are some people, I've talked to them, who are hardo basketball people, and they love the nerd stats and all that. The issue, though, is that the flotsam and jetsam do not want to be lectured on X's and O's. It is, after all, when everything is said and done, a TV show. And it's supposed to be entertaining. And TNT always nailed that. And they're done. That's it. Like Charles Barkley, he'll supposedly do stuff at ESPN. We'll see how that goes. But Barkley is the ringmaster of the circus of fun. He just is. He's the ringmaster. He's personable, silly, charming, debonair, goofy. He's the life of the party. All those things. All those things. The NBA product on court often sucks. It just does. It's the stuff on the periphery that is more interesting than the actual product on the court. And you can say that's not right, that's wrong, blah, 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 blah. That's the real world, okay? That's not let's sugarcoat it. That's the way it is. The peripheral stuff is more interesting. The off-court drama, the front-court speculation, the trade rumors, the debates, yapping about legacies and all that. What generation's the greatest? Fans are not tuning in because they care about hardcore basketball. And if Adam Silver, and I think he's lying when he says it, I don't think deep down he knows that's the case. They're turning in for a sporty soap opera that is packaged as basketball. They're not tuning in to hear Doris Burke break down the X's and O's on an NBA game. They don't want to hear about that. They'd like to hear Charles Barkley bust balls. That's what they would like to hear. That's why they would like to tune in. Period. Hard stop. That's the way that it is.